Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. And I'm with Audrey today. Welcome, Audrey.
Hi, Marc.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
I'm so glad you're here as well. So one of my favorite questions to ask is if you could wave your magic wand and get whatever you wanted with food and body, what would that be for you?
So it's not going to be directly about food and body, but I've made a lot of work over the last 15 years. And if I could get anything that is related to food and body, it would be to how to reconnect with myself, my body, my feeling, and how to stay connected in terms of stress and hard feelings. Because I've been working a lot with myself, and doing your transform relationship with food, it makes me think about a lot of things, like my eating challenging are not the actual issue, but it's something way deeper than that. So I narrowed down the issue as I am living outside myself. I'm not connecting to my body or my feelings. And I think it's that way for me to work on to overcome my challenging with food and in life in general.
Audrey, how old are you?
I'm 32.
32. And where are you from originally?
I'm from France, but I live in the UK.
So you said you've identified your challenge as you don't feel connected to yourself, your feelings. How does that show up for you? Like how do you determine for yourself, oh, that doesn't feel good?
It's first, it doesn't feel good because it started initially with trauma that I experienced during my childhood, my teenage years. And my eating disorder started soon after the first trauma. So I understood with years that it's directly related to this. So at the time, the feelings were so overwhelming and I had no way to escape it. And I remember going completely blank, like feeling from alive to living dead, like numb. I couldn't feel anything. And I went through the events and the years just, completely disconnected. I couldn't really feel apart from numbness and despair. And soon after this episode, this first event, I started like severe bulimia because it was my way to just soothe or calm down because I couldn't cope otherwise. And then I went through life-threatening anorexia, another way to numb really because it was starving myself was a way to just starve my feelings, anything. At the time, I remember the purpose was to get myself free from any emotional dependence and also dependence on food and any biological or emotional needs. I wanted to be free of it. So I went through all these years. At the time, I was very young still and too young to go in a specialist hospital for anorexia. So I ended up in a children's hospital that didn't really know what they were doing. And I ended up locked in a room for 2 years with no visit from family, no contact with friends, with the outside world at all. And that was the second trauma that really made things worse. Because at the time I felt punished and I felt left to die in this room, and I let myself die there. I died actually from severe anorexia. I was very, very weak. And eventually at some point, I understood that I would not die there because they wouldn't let me, and I would not go out until I ate again. So I started to eat again and I got better. And years after years, I took this necessary step to ask help for professionals to get better. But I got better. At this point in my life, I'm almost free for bulimia. I'm not anorexic anymore. I exercise, but reasonably. I mean, it's still a lot compared to other people, but I'm not exercising when I'm tired. I got back to a more varied diet, but I'm still disconnected in a way that I don't know what I want. I don't know how I feel most of the time. It feels like my body is still in the numb state that I was in the past. It didn't, although I did a psychological process, it looks like my body is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I use food in different ways, either to numb or to obsess about any way that allows me to be outside myself. I will use it. So it can be food, it can be obsession with weight, it can be obsession with calories. I'm done with this, but I found other ways to replace them. It can be obsession about my partner, other people, anything that can fill my mind and distract me from what's inside, what I don't want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's a lot.
Yes, that's a lot. So do you have help these days in terms of counseling?
Yeah, I've just finished this month's session with a counselor.
Mm-hmm. And how is that for you? Is that something that has been helpful, or you would like to continue to do?
Yeah, it's been helpful, and now I've stopped like 2 weeks ago, but I'm keeping going on making the changes I need to make. Really. But I still have this resistance when it comes to reconnecting with my body, my feelings. I try to do it, but I really don't want to. So eating is a perfect way for me to check out.
Yes.
So when I binge to check out. When I eat on a day-to-day basis, I eat like a bland diet. I don't cook. I hate cooking. I eat always the same thing because I don't know what I want. So I keep the same record over and over again. And when I eat, I am not there.
Are you in a relationship these days?
Yeah.
For how long?
2 years in August.
Mm-hmm. How is that for you?
But this relationship is very difficult. It's chaotic. In the way that we both have issues, we kind of trigger each other. But we do love each other, so we are trying to work out our issues. But yeah, take it slow.
Mm-hmm. And are you working?
Yes.
Do you work from home? Do you go into the office?
I go in the office. I used to work from home during COVID, but I'm full-time back in the office now.
Mm-hmm. And what are you doing?
I am going to change jobs at the end of the month. I will be sensory scientist.
What kind of scientist?
Sensory. So it's about market research, really.
Mm-hmm.
Development of new products. So yeah.
Yes, yes. So have you thought about if it could be 10 years from now,
mm-hmm.
and you're the person that you want to be,
mm-hmm.
you become the person that you truly want to be, what would that look like for you?
My life as such wouldn't change much. But the person I would be more relaxed. I would be less rigid, because I'm quite rigid in the way that I try to provide myself with like control, security. So yeah, I would be more relaxed, more able to be flexible with life. I would be able to enjoy myself, like enjoying food, little pleasures, because I've got a big issue with pleasure. It's like forbidden. I really don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. I would be fully expressed, because I'm quite often, unless I feel very, very safe in my environment with the people I feel repressed. I am repressed. Like, I don't really express myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't be able to guess any of that about you, because you feel very connected in this conversation. I'm just observing. You feel very connected in this conversation and very present. And yes, I understand. I think you know this because you alluded to it in different ways, but when we suffer a trauma, initially the trauma is a stressor. It's something that we experience as life-threatening. It's something we experience as soul-threatening. It's something that has us go into a survival response. And we usually talk about the fight or flight response. If we're under threat, we either try to fight or we try to flee and run away. But there's also the freeze response. So it's really fight or flight or freeze. And then a freeze response, it's in nature, you would see it where there's an animal that, let's say, is being attacked by a lion, and the lion is clearly superior and the lion's going to kill it. And a good strategy for some animals is to just completely submit and surrender and play dead. And if you play dead and freeze, then it looks to the attacker that, oh, this is a dead creature. So I can relax and take my teeth off its neck, and then hopefully the animal gets up and runs away. Now, what happens is the freeze response oftentimes happens in a human being when we experience something that's hard to digest, something that's hard to deal with. When we experience a big stress, we go into freeze, like, whoa, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this. And so what you're describing to me sounds like a very classic freeze response. In part, let me shut off my feelings and not feel anything, because if I feel, it's going to be too painful.
Yeah, definitely.
And not only do we shut off the painful feelings of upset, disappointment, betrayal, hurt, whatever it is, but when we're not feeling, we also shut off the good things. We can shut off the love, and we can shut off the pleasure, and we can shut off the celebration. So it sounds to me that, part of your eating disorder from the past, was in response to your trauma. You've said that, and I think that's a good connection that you made. And I think it's always helpful to know that as human beings, we're always doing the best we can, and we're always using the information that we have in the moment. So the best way you knew how to deal with your trauma was to freeze and not feel and disembody. We disembody because pain is located in the body. Feelings and emotions and hurts are located in the body. So if I'm separate from my body, I'm not going to feel those as much. So it's actually a smart strategy. It's not a good long-term strategy. It's a good short-term strategy. Short-term makes a lot of sense. It helps us get through the experience. As a child, or as a young person, we don't know oftentimes what to do. So we have to shut off our feelings, or we have to disembody, or we pick up a behavior like bulimia that gives us temporary relief. Bulimia can be a very symbolic way of reenacting the trauma. So bulimia can be, on the one hand, reenacting the trauma means I go out of my body, I eat, and I disappear. And at some point, then vomiting that food, releasing that food, is actually puts us in a strange relaxation response in the moment. It almost helps us resolve something. Like, oh, I just ate too much food. Let me get rid of it. And it's a momentary symbolic solution. Anorexia is a more extreme solution in many ways because it's self-starvation. It's, for many people, not all, but it's a statement that's saying, I don't want to be here.
Well, yeah, it was definitely the case at the time.
Yes, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive, and I'm not going to shoot myself, but I might as well starve myself. because that's, a more gentle way to go. So it seems. Maybe not.
I would argue on that.
So regardless, what I'm noticing is that you've done some really good work on yourself.
Yeah, I've been very dedicated and I've put a lot of effort. Yeah.
Yes. First, I want to say congratulations for that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I don't know the trauma that you've gone through, and you don't need to talk about it, but the fact that it had you just in an intense series of eating disorders and in a situation where you nearly died from an eating disorder, and where you had a second trauma of being harmed by professionals in the medical system. I mean, that's a heart-wrenching story to hear when we turn ourselves over to an expert and they do worse damage.
Yeah. I think it's not the expert that I really felt betrayed by. It's more my parents. Mm-hmm. Because the initial trauma, I perceived it as betrayal from my friends, from the school system. My parents let me completely down, so I was alone to face it. So I felt really betrayed and let down by the people that were supposed to protect me. And then the second trauma, I felt it like my parents put me in the hospital. Like, obviously they wanted to help me, but at the time I felt it like the ultimate abandonment. I really felt left to die there.
Yes.
So I've got a lot of trust issues, obviously, and I can't shake the core belief I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to live, basically. So this is something that's really ingrained in me. And I think now I'm speaking, I think this is this kind of feelings that I'm trying to avoid to feel. Mm-hmm. And they come and go every day, pretty much every day. It's like always dormant somehow. And sometimes my partner will do a little thing where I feel a bit ignored, like not answering a text or rushing an answer where he doesn't really answer me. I feel like ignored, and it's going to trigger an intense despair reaction, like completely disproportionate comparing to the situation at hand.
Yes.
And it feels like I'm taken back years ago. I feel the same despair as I felt when I was locked in this room.
Yes. I want to say this to you again. It's you're in a very powerful place because, and I might not feel that way to you, but you have a very clear view of your situation and your experience. And you might say to me, I'm disconnected from my feelings. I'm disconnected from my body. I can say, at the very least, you are connected to your experience. You're connected to your journey. You're connected to your story and what happened. And you're connected to the fact that there's something in you that needs to be healed and wants to be healed. Mm-hmm. And I think you're understanding that it takes time.
Yeah.
And this is all very good news.
Yes, I don't know how, because I kind of know I need to reconnect with myself, but I experience a lot of resistance when I try to, just talking about eating, when I try to eat slowly, it's like I experience so much resistance. It's, I don't want to feel, I just want to eat, I just want to get over it. And after eating, usually I can start, if I try to pause and calm down, just to relax after a meal, like I don't seem to be able to do it because I start to feel very anxious, and automatically I check out and I start to obsess about something else.
Yes. So, Audrey, what I want to say is that right now you're good at identifying for yourself, oh, here's my resistance. Here's where I'm bumping up against my wall. Here's where I'm not feeling. Here's the place that I can't relax. And this is all very good. This is helpful to be able to at least be able to notice, oh, I have resistance to this. A lot of people are resistant and they don't even know they're resistant. They don't wish to know they're resistant. So what I'm saying is, I think part of your journey right now that's going to help you move further along is to begin to more and more celebrate the successes that you have had and that you have. So part of it is you end up fighting against your resistance. I understand that. We all have resistances. We all have places where we hit the wall. It's good at the same time to also notice the place where you have a victory, the place where you're able to shine the light and see the place where you've come very far. Mm-hmm. I think what happens for you is because there's the part of you that wants to get it right, and there's the part of you that wants to be perfect, and the part of you that wants to fix this, then all you see is what's broken.
Yeah, that's true. I sort of went in a crusade against myself.
Yeah, so that's what I would love to see you start to shift. And I almost want to say it's learning how to see yourself from a higher perspective and being able to say to yourself, I've come a long way. To be able to say to yourself, I've taken some big steps. I no longer have a life-threatening eating disorder or two. I support myself. I'm in a relationship, might not be the perfect one. I've gotten professional help that's helped me. I have certain tools, even though they don't work all the time. So I'm just wanting you to give yourself a little more love.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Self-love. Right.
So here's the thing. I don't know that we just wake up one day and look in the mirror and go, oh, now I love myself, and this is what it feels like. I don't think it happens for people like that. I think loving yourself or liking yourself, it's a practice. It's especially a practice when we've been conditioned by life to think the opposite. I don't love myself. I don't trust myself. I don't trust the world. I'm not good enough. This should be fixed. I'm not okay. I'm broken. Loving yourself is just a daily practice, and it's not always going to feel good. It's not always going to feel good. You know, sometimes the people in your life who love you are really loving you, but they're not doing it in a way that gets through to you, or they're not doing it in a way that the love can really land, or for whatever reason, we just don't feel it. We don't see it. We're not experiencing it. And so experiencing love in a relationship is also a practice. We work at it. So something as simple as when you say to me, I eat the same thing because I don't even know what I want.
Yeah, that's so true. My partner asked me, what do you want to eat? I don't even know.
Yes. So let's use that as a simple place to work right now. So it makes sense to me that you don't know what you want to eat, because you've already told me you feel disconnected from pleasure. Like pleasure, you don't want to do that because The reason you don't want to feel pleasure is because the part of you that made the decision, I don't want to feel because feeling is dangerous. Feeling hurts.
Yeah, it's true. When I do feel pleasure with a good meal, I start to panic.
Yes. So, and the reason is because the mind can't shut off one specific kind of emotion. It tends to shut off all emotion. The mind can't shut off just one kind of feeling. I'm just going to shut off pain. It's sort of a package deal. Because a part of you knows if I feel pleasure, that means I'm opening myself to feel pain. If I feel love, I'm opening myself up to being abandoned. Your parents are the original people who are supposed to love you. We're supposed to ideally feel loved by our parents. If for some reason I feel abandoned by my parents, I feel not loved by my parents, then better to protect myself and say, okay, I'm not feeling anything. And this way I don't feel anything. So if you open yourself up to love in a relationship, you're opening yourself up to disappointment again. You're opening yourself up to abandonment again. And you don't want to repeat what you already did in your life. That hurt too much. So part of it is coming to the knowing that you're not your past anymore. You're still living in response to your past. You're helping clean up things from your past. I don't know that you're going to repeat your past. I personally don't think so at all.
No, it's not possible because I'm an adult and I've got my own decisions to make. There, I was a kid, so I was not able to just speak for myself, really, even.
Yes. So if you feel pleasure from a meal, you get scared, you get upset, you get stressed, and that's a very instinctive response. You don't have control over that response right now because it's the old fight or flight or freeze response that is just telling you, shut off all your feeling. Because feeling means you're going to be feeling bad. Any kind of feeling means you're feeling bad. So right now, to me, your practice is about learning. I wish I can speak French. Because there's a word I want to use, learning how to titrate, learning how to do small amounts, the tiniest amounts of pleasure. Tiny. Like, what's the tiniest amount of pleasure that you could receive?
Well, I've started to do this little bit by little bit. So just even like some biscuits or just treating myself with a massage or going to the park when it's sunny and allowing myself to enjoy it because I can't go to the park and get into self-torture with my head. So that's not really pleasurable. Mm-hmm. But I've started doing this bit by bit, but food is really a big resistance there.
Yes. Well, so I would love for you to create a list for yourself. Create a pleasure inventory. Mm-hmm. It's a long list, everything you could think of, persons, places, things, thoughts, experiences, being outside in the sun, taking a walk, watching a certain show, listening to certain kinds of music, whatever it is that makes you feel good. Massage, whatever it is that makes you feel good, you have your nice long list and you study that list every day and you pick something out, at least one thing every day. And let your system receive that. Because that's your natural state. Your natural state is that you feel. Your natural state is that the body is pleasurable. The sun is pleasurable. Nature is pleasurable. Food is pleasurable. Touch is pleasurable. Hearing sweet things is pleasurable. Feeling love is pleasurable. So that's our natural state. But we're conditioned from our experience, from our life, from the media, from what's happened to us. And then things become hard, and it becomes hard for us to feel. So it's literally a practice. It's you as an adult saying, I'm going to take this in small doses. So instead of fighting yourself, and instead of having to do a lot of hard work on yourself, and I'm fine, because oftentimes working on self is hard.
Yeah, but I think I deserve a break sometime.
Exactly. So I want you to do the kind of work on self that actually feels good.
Yeah.
And my goodness, it's so French to experience the pleasures in life. And
yeah, that's the thing. That's French.
So
Like,
you have it in your
cliché, though. But...
yeah. So you have it in your DNA. You have it inside you. It's natural to you. You're just not fully connected to it right now. So I just want to make sure that as you're doing work on self, that at least 51% of that work feels good to you, i.e., practicing little pleasures, the ones that are doable for you. So when it comes to food, that's not as easy for you. And it's understandable, because you've had a past of using food to escape. And food has not been a pleasure for you. Food is, in a weird way, it's your relationship with food has been a source of pain.
Yeah.
So that's going to take time to unwind. I would love for you to think in terms of what would nourish me when it comes to my relationship with food. What would nourish me? What's coming to your mind when I say that?
I didn't know initially that you were thinking about food, but what would nourish me is really connection with people, because I isolated myself from myself, but also from others. So it's quite, over the last 2 years, I've reconnected with my family. So I feel connected to them now, and it's really great. I really enjoy it. I feel more or less connected to my partner, depending on the time. But I don't have much friends. I don't meet friends physically regularly. That's why I really enjoy coming back in the office after COVID, because it was very difficult during COVID to be that isolated. So this is something I'm working on, and having more social life and pushing myself a little bit, because I do enjoy it when it's happening, but I've got resistance always before. Mm-hmm. So that is a true nourishment to me at the moment. I'm really trying to, get more people around me.
Audrey, I love that for you. I really love that for you. I love that you've identified that, because to my mind, as you ask the question, what nourishes me? And as you go for those forms of nourishment, so people nourish you, good connection nourishes you, good social interaction nourishes you. It sounds like relationship nourishes you, except when it doesn't. As you let in more nourishment, it will become easier over time to feel nourished by food. It will feel more natural. Right now, that's a difficult place to work for you. So I especially want you to focus on the places that nourish you, that do work for you, that this feels good. So staying in connection with people sounds really important. And, how do you do that even more for yourself? How do you open up to even more connection?
Well, that's interesting.
I also think it might be helpful, because I want to get back to the food piece and see if we can find an approach, a tool, a practice that will be helpful for you over time. You're wanting to get in touch with yourself, your body, your feelings. You're wanting to feel connected to yourself. So yes, one way is to feel connected to nature, to feel connected to other people, feel connected to your work, feel connected to human beings who care about you. And as you and we've said, as you do that more and more, it's easier to connect with food. But right now, food is not so easy. I think it would be interesting. Once again, I'm going to suggest create a long list. And the list is food that I think I like to eat. You don't even have to be sure, but just in general, like there must be foods out there that you definitely don't like to eat. You're just not going to eat them. And there's got to be foods that you do. If you were going to be on an island for 30 years and you can choose the menu of food that you had to take to the island, what would those foods be? And just create a long list of everything that you would eat that you would take to the island if you knew you were going to be there by yourself and you just want to have a lot of good food. So that's the list that I would love for you to make. And it doesn't have to be all healthy food, by the way, just everything that makes you feel good. Now, for me, healthy food makes me feel good. But there's some foods that are quote unquote unhealthy that make me feel good. I don't eat them all the time. So I just want to make sure your list includes all foods. And when you're considering, what am I going to eat today? I'd like you to go to that list and just pick something off the list randomly or intentionally. Give yourself a way to stimulate experience and stimulate variety. And it's a way to begin to connect with your body and what it wants, because you're already looking at a list that you have said and your body has said, yeah, I like these things in general. How does that sound to you? Does that sound interesting to you?
Yeah, the list makes sense because, I would probably need to walk around the shops to think about it, because when I try to think about what I want or what I like, in terms of food, it's blank, nothing is coming. So
yes.
When I go to a restaurant and I've got the menu, I can choose because I've got options. But otherwise, if I have to think about it on the spot, I don't know.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So you're just making the menu for your life.
Yeah, that sounds, I like the idea.
Yes. So we've talked about creating your inventory or your menu of all the foods that you like. We've talked about you creating a pleasure inventory, a list of anything that gives you pleasure. Again, persons, places, things, foods, experiences, whatever comes to mind, music, any kind of movement. And I'm just thinking for you, as you begin to practice more and more the little things that give you pleasure, you are less focusing on the hard work and your resistances.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So you mentioned you've been in this relationship for 2 years?
Yeah, almost in August, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see it going?
At this point in time, I don't know. I let go of the resistance on that area of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I try to be myself in this relationship and give it the best chances. And I'll see how it goes. But I used to be very afraid of being on my own. And now I'm fine with the idea. So if it works, that would be great. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be, we do our best, both of us, and if it works, it's fine, and if it doesn't, then I came in peace with the idea.
Can you see yourself having children someday?
Yeah. Not at this particular moment in time, because at the moment with my partner, it's not that stable. I would say we've got great moments, and when it's great, but when it's not great, it's really not great. So I'm waiting to, we are trying both together to find some stability. And I really need the stability and the feeling that I can rely on him, and he can rely on me to think about anything else. So for now, I enjoy the times when it's good, and I see how it goes. I let go of that. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you're more in contact with your family now. Do you speak with your parents about what happened back then?
Yeah, I've been, over the last 5-6 years, I've been reconnecting with my family, and we talked through that. And with them, it's solved. We talked about it, and they expressed themselves, and I've received it, and it did me a great deal of good. It really allowed me to move forward, to talk to them. Yeah. So now things are at peace. I forgave them for a long time ago. And we are close, like we've never been close before. So I really enjoy that.
Audrey, I just want to share with you that, I've seen, I don't know how many clients over the years, thousands. And one of the biggest challenges I see with people in their, of any age group, but in particular in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s and 80s, who are still having challenges around emotional eating or binge eating or an eating disorder, still having challenges around, I don't like my body. One common thing that I notice is that many people just haven't forgiven their parents. They're still holding their parents hostage. They're still blaming their parents for what happened way back when. And their parents did contribute to their pain, their upset, their suffering. And many human beings I've noticed just stay in blame and judgment. And when we do that in a strange way, we continue to live in our parents' house, even though we're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years old. Psychically, we're living with our parents as if we're that child back then. So you've done a tremendous amount of work that is oftentimes the hardest piece of work for a lot of people to do. The hardest piece of work is looking at our parents and being able to say, okay, you did the best job you could. Wish you would have done different. And you did the best you could. And okay, we're good. I forgive you. That is not easy.
Sorry.
No,
one
go.
that you haven't forgiven, it's me.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the initial trauma was about like a child mistake or like that I did in school, but it was not dramatic, but it ended up like disproportionate. And at that time, I remember thinking, I'm a monster, I don't deserve to live. And I think I still haven't forgiven myself for that. I forgave everyone else, but not myself.
So you've had a lot of good practice forgiving everybody else. So you know what forgiveness can feel like. And maybe forgiving ourselves might be the hardest person to forgive.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, on a certain level, there's nothing to forgive because I don't know that you did any crime. We think we did. We think we committed a crime. But there's still a place in us where we just have to forgive ourselves. And forgiveness, I think for you right now, what forgiveness might look like are small acts of love.
Yeah, you're completely right. there. And that when you say that, it rings so true.
It's small acts of love because that says something. When you're clear, my partner's hearing me, my partner's responding to me, my partner's feeling me. That to you feels like an act of love. It might be small, like you text.
It does feel so safe when he's attentive and there. I feel relaxed and safe. Right. The moment he's not anymore, I feel, oh.
Right. So this is what you do to you.
Yeah.
There's the part of you that, because you don't stand by yourself all the time, there's places where you can check out. There's places where you go into self-attack or self-judgment or self-hate. That's basically you not being reliable for you. That's you not being trustable for you. That's you not being able to count on your own love. So part of the healing, a big part of the healing, is you being a safe place for you. You being a safe person for you. So I think that's what you're learning. That, yes, I want a partner who's safe. First and foremost, I need to be a safe place for me. So if I need some self-soothing, then I figure out how to do that. If I need pleasure or nourishment or self-love, I figure out how to do that in the moment rather than abandon myself or attack myself or speak unkindly to myself. So that's a practice.
Yeah. This is very true.
I'm very happy for you where you're at in your journey. What I hear is a woman who's worked very hard on yourself, who's done good work and who's done successful work to heal yourself and get to a place where you can begin to flourish and you can begin to really grow into your potential more and more and more. So you're doing that. You're not where you want to be right now.
No, but I'm a bit perfectionist, so I think I need to relax a little bit as well.
Yes.
On the intensity of the goal, as you say.
Yes. Perfectionism, I want you to think of that as a virus, and we catch it. You didn't invent perfectionism. It exists. It's in the world. Many people have it. They catch it at a young age. I've got to be perfect. My life has to be perfect. I have to do things perfectly. And it crushes the soul because you know this, we're extremely imperfect human beings. We have so many warts and flaws, and that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us interesting. And that's what makes us human. And if you're going to be a mother someday, and I'm sure you're going to be a very good one, you're not going to look at your tiny little baby if your baby's, has some baby fat and say, oh, I want a perfect baby. I don't accept you. No, you're not going to say that to your child. So therefore, you should not say it to you. So I think you're learning how to be a good parent to you.
Yeah. Yeah, a long journey.
It is. So.
But I can see I'm doing better with time. So I've got hope and I know I can do it. So.
Yes. And sometimes it's really taking a break from pushing yourself with perfectionism, pushing yourself with, I have to fix myself, and say, this is me. This is Audrey. This is where I'm at in my journey.
Yeah, I think I can do with much more of that.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe let's say that begins today in a whole new way for you. where, yeah, we're going to always focus on the work that we have to do on ourselves, but also focus on, I've come really far. I'm successful. I'm living my life. I've made amazing progress. I've done amazing work in healing my relationship with my family, my parents, yourself. You're not in the ideal place with yourself, but wow, you're not starving yourself.
No, it's much better than it used to be.
Yes. So that's amazing to have come through that. Not everybody makes it. So can you name one or two things that you're taking away from this conversation today that feel useful for you?
One or two. So the main one would be letting go of like fixing myself, obsessing about what's wrong, and celebrating more what's right, because that's true. As a perfectionist, I tend to, if a success come here, said, oh yes, that's great, fine, next. And with the negative and problematic things, it's much more like obsession kind of way to approach it. So yes, so that celebrating more what I do good and what I've done for myself and to get better. And also the second would be learn to be a parent and to myself, and to bring a bit of love from me to me in different ways, non-food activities, experiences, and food when I'm ready. So yeah, that's I think the main thing is just relax and give myself a break sometime.
Yes. And it could be as simple as that, because when you relax and give yourself a break, you let yourself out of the stress response.
Yeah.
Because when I'm being a perfectionist, I'm in a stress response. Oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. So your heart rate is up, your blood pressure is up, and it's almost as if we're back in that trauma state.
Yeah.
And our all healing of the human body and all healing of the human soul and our healing of our heart happens in a relaxation response. It doesn't happen when we're freaked out and stressed out and upset and anxious. Healing happens when we are relaxed, which means sleep for a lot of people, which means rest for a lot of people, but it means when we're in pleasure. Pleasure creates a relaxation response. It means when I'm in an intimate moment. Intimacy creates relaxation response. When I'm connected to other people in a way that I feel good, that's a relaxation response. When I'm loving myself or when I'm receiving love, relaxation response.
Yeah, that's true.
So anything that helps you relax helps you heal. So taking the foot off of the gas pedal of perfectionism.
That's a good image. I like this image. I'm full speed.
Yes. Yeah, so maybe, slow speed. Well, Audrey, I hope this conversation was helpful for you today. I really do.
Thank you. I'm glad I did this. Thank you very much for your help.
Yes, and thank you. Thanks for being so real, and thank you for being honest, and thanks for sharing your journey with us. It's a very powerful story, I think, and a very beautiful story. So I feel honored to be speaking with you about it all, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, Marc. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care, and remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.